Today, guys, I'll be discussing a topic that's, I think, really important for couples to consider when they are embarking on the journey of buying their first home together. And that is the art of compromise, because buying a home is a significant milestone and doing it with a partner can come with both challenges and rewards. So I'll be giving you some practical tips to help you and your partner find common ground in the house buying process. Stay tuned. Now, if you've been finding the videos on this channel helpful, then make sure that you give us a thumbs up, but also subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any future uploads. And before we get into the detail of today's video, I also want to ask you for your support. And I want you to consider using DM Mortgages to help you to arrange your next mortgage or remortgage. And to do that, you can head over to our website, which is dm.mortgage. And there you can book in for a free mortgage appointment with our expert team who can help you to guide you through the right mortgage product and the house buying process. Now, my first tip, guys, when you're looking at buying a property with a partner, is to define your priorities together, because in any relationship, communication is key. And when it comes to buying a property, I think it's a really good idea to, before you start on any viewings, sit down, have a detailed conversation about your individual priorities. And I would recommend you start by discussing what are your must-haves and what are your deal breakers. Consider things like the size of the property, the location of it, local amenities, any specific features that in your opinion are non-negotiable. Because again, there's no point wasting time and creating unnecessary disputes when you could have just ironed these things out to start with. Now, whilst compromise, I do think is an integral part of the home buying process if you're doing it with another party, there are likely aspects of the home that, like I say, are non-negotiable to each of you. Now, these could be deeply personal preferences or essential requirements for your lifestyle. Whatever they are, I think it's really important to firstly take the time to identify them and communicate these early on in the process, because this clarity will help avoid misunderstandings and make sure that everyone is on the same page. But I also think it's important that you both understand where there's some flexibility and where there isn't. So write them down in a list and remember to revisit them if you do start down the path of disagreements. Now, my next tip is to look at, or think about, shall I say, creating a shared vision board. Because for some people, they need to see the visuals, they need to see things come to light. So I think that transitioning those initial conversations to visuals is a really powerful exercise. So, I would advise looking on Instagram, using magazines, using online platforms, Pinterest. Encourage your partner to do the same, because again, if you guys can visually work out what you want before you see it, that can help you to, know what your preferences might be before you again start on the road of viewings. So as you're gathering those things together and images, think about again preferred neighbourhoods, key features, and pay attention to some of the commonalities that you're both finding, because the visual representations can become then a tangible guide to help you to both align your visions and make decisions that reflect those shared goals. As a viewer of this channel, I assume that you're considering purchasing a property in the near future. So it's important for you to know that DM Mortgages are an award-winning team of fully qualified mortgage brokers that provide advice to clients all over the UK. Now, we spend countless hours making free content for YouTube and other social media platforms to help to give you guys sound and useful information to make sure that you're in the best position to make informed decisions. To support this channel, when the time comes for you to consider your mortgage options, we want you to book a free online mortgage appointment with a member of our fully qualified mortgage advice team. Because without your help and support, keeping this channel going simply isn't possible. Now, we searched thousands of mortgage products from high street and specialist lenders to find the right deal for your circumstances. And we also provide a free will writing service to every DM client. So head over to dm.mortgage and book in for a free mortgage appointment when the time comes. And also make sure that you subscribe to this channel if you find the content useful. But for now, let's get back to the video. Now, my next tip is to set a realistic budget. Now, appreciate, guys, that even if you're buying a property with your partner, money matters can always often be a sensitive subject, especially in the context of buying a home. So I think it's really essential to be transparent about your financial situation from the start and set a realistic budget together. Now, I think that this step involves not just considering the purchase price of the property, but also making sure that you're factoring in additional costs such as solicitor fees, maintenance costs, potential renovations. But more importantly, and this is where I have seen so many couples enter into disputes, they've not had an open conversation about their income, their savings, and any outstanding debts. But again, like I say, take away any unnecessary stress and disputes during the decision-making process. Because I've seen in some instances couples that only divulge their finances when they get to the stage of applying for an agreement in principle. And I've seen a situation where one party has stayed, silent about the fact that they've got bad credit. They didn't tell the other person, and it only came out at agreement in principle stage or application stage because they were hoping that somehow this information wouldn't be brought to light, which, you don't need me to tell you can be a recipe for disaster, and it can put unnecessary strain, not just on the relationship, but also on the property purchase itself. So my advice is to be open and honest from the point of deciding to buy a joint property, because ultimately, if you're entering into a joint property agreement, the nature of that means that, you need to be open with your finances, in my personal and professional opinion, for what it's worth. Now, the next tip is and this one I appreciate may not be for everyone, but I would suggest attending your viewings and taking notes separately. So I find that this step can be really helpful to make sure that you're both being objective and that you're avoiding immediate biases against the property. So I would say go separately, or if you don't want to go separately, take notes separately, because this means that you're not being influenced by your partner's initial impressions. You've not got any external influences. And it just means that you can focus as an individual on what matters most to you. So make a note of your likes, your dislikes, and any concerns. And then later you can come together to discuss what you've found. And, it's an unbiased communication then. But this approach really can help to give you a more comprehensive evaluation of potential homes. And it just makes sure that both parties have got a proper voice in the decision-making process. Because again, I've seen instances where you've just got one party kind of going along with things. And of course, this can again lead to heartache later down the line, because you both, in my opinion, if two people are living in a property and it's a joint affair, then I think it's both important that you're both on the same page and that you're both equally happy with the outcome. So that was a little bit different, guys. I hope those tips have been useful. Whilst I'm not looking at transitioning into a relationship counsellor, I hope that those tips were useful to help you with your house buying process, because it's one of those tricky situations that can sometimes create unnecessary arguments and unnecessary stress in the house buying process. And even though we're mortgage advisors, we do, still get caught up in sometimes the emotional aspect of buying a property with our clients. And that's just something over the years that I've witnessed. So I thought that giving those tips and sharing that with you might be helpful. And of course, if you need help to arrange a mortgage, then make sure that you head over to our website, which is dm.mortgage, and there you can book in for an appointment with our mortgage team. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any future content. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video, and happy house hunting until then.